Welcome back, everyone, to Big Money Outdoors. Today we have my good buddy Luke, and he is going to help us put together and assemble this bow fishing bow. He's the expert.
I wouldn't say that.
He's the expert compared to me. So we're gonna go ahead and put this up, which he says is gonna be kind of the cool video, putting together something this complicated. To me it looks a little freaky, and we'll go ahead and put together this like fish stick recurve bow. So yeah, I'm super excited for this. We have a lot of good places around here, a lot of gar. I live on the Big Muddy River, as you guys know, and we got carp and gar everywhere. So I've always wanted a recurve bow, and this is gonna kind of sum it all together, and we're gonna get after it. So let's go ahead and start putting this sucker together.
All right, so we got two parts here. We got the bow, and then we have the reel combo. AMS Retriever is the reel I use. That's what all my friends use. They seem to work pretty well, so that's what I recommend to people. And then this is the bow I use. It's a pretty basic recurve bow. It's made by Cajun BOWFISHIng, and it's pretty simple. There's not that much to it, so it's pretty easy to put together. So we'll go ahead and get it unboxed here. This is the spool reel that comes with the bow. This is a manual hand line sort of thing. You can go ahead and throw this away if you bought an AMS. These will make you hate your life very quickly. We've got some hardware here. We'll get to that in a second. This is the mount for the reel. You won't need that. And then this is the bowstring. Okay, so this bow comes in three main parts. You have the riser and then the two limbs. This is meant to be a takedown bow. I leave mine assembled, but basically all you do is put the limbs in with these screws. There's two screws, and these limbs go in just like that, and then you just snap the string on. So I'm gonna go ahead and get these limbs put on just like that.
So it comes with one of these little pieces?
Yeah, it comes with basically a washer. It's a large washer. And then these large black screws are what attach the limbs to the riser. And you just have one down here and then one up here. So again, I'm just trying to find the right bit to put this together.
We'll get it.
Look at this space in my bit kit.
Is that the one?
And yeah, that might be the one. We could have a bit of a problem.
Wait, did it come with? I got that on video. All right, folks. So it comes with.
So you can just take this and just throw it in the trash.
Yeah, you don't need your craftsman tools.
Yep. Anyways. So like I was saying, it comes with an Allen wrench. That way you don't have to find the correct bits to put it together. Exactly what I was saying when I trailed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
we'll edit it out. We'll make it look good.
We'll make it look good. So you just righty-tighty this on in there. Wow. I was like looking down. Hey, and if you need another one, they do come with. It does come with a little one. And you keep yours all together? I keep mine all together. I snug it up and then I just leave it assembled. Something about taking off the limbs of a bow every time you use it just doesn't seem like a good idea to me. I just tighten this as tight as it'll go. I don't want this popping out. That could be catastrophic, so I just tighten it down, and then we will get the other one put on here as well. Just get it snugged on down. Okay, so it now somewhat resembles a bow. This is the basic shape of a recurve. One thing about these fish sticks is they're very tall. I am 6'3", and this comes up pretty much to my collarbone. So that is something to keep aware of. He has a truck, I have a two-door. It's a little bit more difficult to transport these in a car, but it can be done. So next, we are going to put on the string, I think. Or actually, I'm gonna leave the string off until we get the reel on. I'm gonna go ahead and put on the reel apparatus, and then we will put the string on, and then you'll be good to go. All right, next up, we are gonna go ahead and put on the reel and the rest. Now, this kit with the fish stick comes with a rest of its own. As you can see, it's not a very sophisticated rest. The AMS Tidal Wave rest is what I use. That's what comes in this kit. It's very nice. It clips in your arrow on the side, so you don't have to always hold it with your finger. It'll keep it there until you're ready to shoot. So we're just gonna go ahead and put on the reel. I'm gonna get it out of the packaging here. Pretty standard stuff. What's nice about these reels is you can adjust them for height, and you can adjust them basically exactly where you want them. Okay, so we've got the reel out of the packaging. There's a piece on here that functions to slide the reel, so you can adjust it forward and backwards. You're gonna take that piece off, and you're gonna use these 2 long screws that come with it. And that piece is going to mount right here on your bow. So you can see this slider will still slide freely. We'll screw the reel into that after we get this mounted, but you just put the screws through here, and then we will go ahead and tighten them down into those holes on the riser. And again, I just make these hand tight. I torque them down pretty good. I don't foresee the need to take this piece off my bow, and I don't want it coming loose while I'm out in the field. Okay, so we've got that mounted. As you can see, this slider will still move. So you're just gonna take your reel and this piece right here. This is what controls the up and down and the side to side motion of the reel on the bow. So we're just gonna go ahead and screw it into that piece. I like to hold the back of that washer so it doesn't move on me. And you can get this adjusted once you get the reel on, but we just want to get it secured to the bow first. When you hold your bow, obviously your rest is going to be about right here. So you're going to be shooting like this. I like this reel to sit to where I can use my middle finger to secure this and then reel in. Now, this is what locks the bow. You'll see this mechanism right here. When you reel, this wheel is what spins, and that's what retracts your line. Now you don't crank this all the way back and pull it back as far as it'll go. You want it just enough so that that wheel will sit on top of your line and have just enough traction to pull it in. You'll be able to feel this when you start messing around with these reels. If you crank it down and you try to reel, as you can see, this reel won't really move. But if I put just a little bit of tension on it, it will reel and it will retract my line. It'll also be different when you get this slider off. But now this mechanism here, this thing that I just screwed in, if you loosen that up a little bit, you can twist this and move it to the right height, and you can move it forward and backwards. I usually have mine sitting about even with the front of my bow. This plastic piece sits about right there, and I have it sitting again pretty much even with the top of the mount there. That's just where I like it. I have long spindly fingers, but that works pretty good. It's out of my way, yet this is the most important part. You want this to be easily accessible. Okay, next up we're going to put on the tidal wave rest. For this I'm going to actually go ahead and slide this part of the reel off just like that. So this gives you access to your reel without taking the whole mounting system off. We do need access to this hole right here because that is where our rest will screw through and come out on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and get this out of the package real quick without cutting myself. This is how the rest looks. Your arrow will clip into the side, and then there's a little spool slider that it will rest on. But this keeps it from falling off and coming out. You don't have to have your finger on your arrow holding it until you get ready to shoot. It makes it very nice, and it is adjustable forward and backward and kind of side to side. So you can adjust that to give you a good experience based on where your bow will hold the arrow. So to mount this, it is pretty self-explanatory. This actually comes around, so that hole is going to come on the other side, and that rest is going to sit relatively close to that riser there. So you can see that hole. That's what we gained access to by removing the reel. We're going to take this screw and put it through that hole and go ahead and secure that. Okay, so we now have the rest secured to the riser of the bow, just like that. Now we can move this rest in and out, and we can also angle it forward and backwards. We will adjust that once we get the string on and our arrow ready to go, and we'll see where it rests on the knock point. But we will adjust that in just a second. Okay, so we have our reel mounted. We have our rest mounted. Again, we haven't adjusted either one of these, and I haven't even put the string on. We'll get everything set up before we do that. So next it's time to talk about the arrow. Now, bow fishing arrows are a little bit different from regular arrows. This is a solid fiberglass arrow, and you'll notice it doesn't have any fletching. You want these to be pretty sturdy. You're not shooting real far distances, so that's the reason for that. The tips on these, this is the standard tip. You have a replaceable head with barbs. Now you want these barbs to be folded back and the tip secured as far as it'll go. And once you shoot a fish, it will pass over these barbs and that will keep it from coming off. Now take off the fish, you simply unscrew this tip just a little bit and these barbs will fold forward and you can slide your fish off and then just go ahead and screw it back down. Now back here you have the knock, of course, and then you have the slider and the stop. So your string will attach to this so that it can be out in front of your bow. It's not back here getting in your rests and messing with your string. It'll be out here, and once your arrow rather, leaves your bow, it will come back and hit that slider. You'll notice these AMS sliders have a certain side for the line. There's an indentation here. So we'll get to tying these on in just a second. All right, to tie on an arrow, there's a lot of different ways to do it. You can just make double knots, you can do some kind of fancy knot. I have a pretty simple method that's worked well. So I actually will take a section of string, probably about 8 to 10 inches long. If you're gonna be making a loop with it and you want the loop to be about that big. So I'll take a section of string and I'll actually just go ahead and cut that off. Now I'm going to put it through this slider, of course minding where that indentation is. So I'm going to put it through on this side so the string will rest in that little groove. So when I pull that through, you'll see that string falls into that little groove and our slider is good to go. Now, after you do that, you will take your string, and it doesn't matter, this one's a little long, but we can trim up the ends, and I will take it and basically like you're tying a knot, but with both strands, I'll bring it around, and then I will bring it through that loop I've created, and I will snug that down about right there, and we'll go ahead and tighten that. So you've created a loop here. You have these tag ends. When you cut your tag ends off, I'd leave about half an inch, maybe a centimeter, just so that the first couple times that arrow hits that stop, if there's any slack left, it won't come undone. You have a little bit of play. Now we're going to do the same thing that we just did there to the end of our string. We're going to just make a loop. We're not going to cut it off, of course. I'm going to make a loop, bring that loop around. So I have both ends pinched here. I brought the loop around the back of those ends, and I'm going to come through that hole I've created and then just snug it down. You can take it kind of slow to make sure you get it how you want it. Snug it down. Again, I like to leave a little bit of a tag in. It's not a big deal. Now, this is the easy part. By doing this loop system, it allows you to change arrows. Say if you break the tip off and you don't want to cut it off and retie it every time. And it's just an easy way to attach arrows. So, to secure this loop to that loop, you're going to take this through. Okay, I just put this string through the loop. You're going to pass that over the end of the arrow, and then you're going to bring it all the way back, pulling it over the slider, over the stop, and over the end of the arrow, and that will tighten down just like that. So you have the loop on the string, you have the loop on the arrow, and if I ever need to undo that, I simply pull it up and slide it back over the arrow, and that will come off. But that is a very secure method of attachment. All right, so next up we're gonna go ahead and get the bowstring put on. That way we can calibrate our reel, calibrate our rest, make sure everything's feeling all right, and then get a feel for the bow. So I'm just gonna take this out of the package. Now, with this bow, you will notice one thing. It does have tabs here for string things. I don't know exactly what they're called, but that is to grab. You use 3 fingers to grab the actual string. You don't use a release bow fishing. And you want the one with 2 tabs to be towards the bottom of the bow. So it's gonna go like that, because you use these 3 fingers and the arrow comes in between, and you don't hold your bow like that, you hold it like that. So these will be on the bottom. So what I always do with the recurve, holding the bottom of the bow here, I'm just going to take that loop and put it over the end of the bow here. And this string is new and this bow is new, so everything's a bit stiff and awkward looking. Now I'm just going to slide up the bowstring here Again, make sure you have these tabs, the 2 fingers towards the bottom. As you can see, there's a bit of a problem because this isn't long enough. So I just take my leg and my arm and bend it. And open this hole up a little bit. This is very stiff, so it actually holds its shape, so that will be helpful. Making sure not to let the bottom of that kick out, and then put it over that tab. Make sure it's seated okay, and then just let it back. So now you have your bowstring attached. Our string things are properly placed. As you can see, it's about in line with the rest, but we can mess with that. And your recurve is ready to go. Remember, never dry fire a bow. Now, this is a very important part. With this tidal wave rest, your arrow will clip in the side. So that's nice. 2 things to always remember, or you will have a very hard time shooting and you could get injured. This slider needs to be out here. I keep mine about mid-arrow, but you do not want this up around your rest, up around your arrow, your nock, your string. You want it out there. That's why it's a slider, because it comes out here. If you get it up here, this string can get caught and your arrow is going to go a total of about 6 inches before it stops. And obviously that is not good. You could get injured. You'll notice I'm holding that lock with my middle finger. That's the way the reel sits. That's the way you like it to sit. So once I have my shooting grip, once I fire that arrow, I can simply reach out, lock it, and reel in. Now the other important thing, and perhaps more important than the first, this is where you could really get messed up. This black stopper tab needs to be up, okay? If you shoot this arrow with this stopper tab down, that's gonna hit the rest, and I don't know what's gonna happen. It's gonna break your rest, it could shatter your arrow, things would go very wrong. So always make sure after you put your arrow back in your rest that that stopper tab's up and that your line is out there. To adjust your rest, this rest pretty much uses tension. You have a little screw there so that you can loosen it and then tighten it. This one is pretty tight, but I am able to adjust it just a little bit with my hand. That's all you really need. Really, bow fishing is an imprecise science. I don't have a bow sight, I don't have fletching on my arrow. I mean, I've literally tied a string to a stick of fiberglass. So there's no precise way to adjust this. I make sure that arrow is as straight as possible. I want these string things, I want that space aligned with the bottom of that rest. And then I want it to look straight. If it's coming out at an angle, that's not good. Move this side to side, but that looks like it's coming straight off the string into that rest. So we don't really have to adjust anything. Now with Drake, since this is his bow, he may want this reel a little bit higher, he may want it a little bit farther back, and he can adjust that based on his hand size and where he likes to hold the release. But for me, this is how I would set mine up, and this is how I would shoot some fish.
Well, there you have it, folks. Luke, he went ahead and gave us the whole rundown, and I do not know about you. Whew, let's hold it. I don't know about you, but dude, that thing is sexy. I'm so excited. Tonight's video is going to be absolutely amazing. This video is going to go up first. Sometime next week or this weekend, we'll put up the video of tonight. But tonight's endeavors is going to be awesome. It's been my first time ever shooting at anything underwater. So he's going to take me to a few spots. I'm going to take him to a few spots that I've seen. And hopefully we stick some gar. He was talking about how he doesn't like shooting the smaller gar, but tonight it's everything goes. Everything's getting shot. I'm practicing, you know, aim small, miss small. So that's exactly what we're going to do. And we're going to have a great time doing this. So I'm going to leave you off with that one. I hope this helps someone out there. And thanks for watching at Big Money Outdoors. Like, subscribe, comment, do all the things you can do to help me out, like I say every single time. And see you on the next one.